Gracious and loving God, open my heart and mind, that I may be the conduit for your message today. My God, my strength, and my Redeemer. Amen.
Amen.
So, as the apostles were looking on, Jesus was lifted up and carried out of their sight. We call this the ascension, the rising up of Christ. That's why we call this Ascension Sunday. Kind of matches, huh? It is another miracle in a whole line of miracles. Rising from the dead. Appearing in the garden. That business with Thomas at the Last Supper. The picnic on the beach. The disciples must have been profoundly changed by these experiences. After all, they'd started out following an itinerant preacher, perhaps hoping that Jesus would unite the people and overthrow the Roman government. But it became much, much more than that. They'd seen miracles, not just sleight of hand. Real miracles. And they were changed. I mean, how could they not be changed? How could they not be lifted out of their mundane lives? How could they not begin preaching and teaching and witnessing to what they had seen? They had to. They had to. And when we look at this with our 21st century eyes, when we hear with our 21st century ears, and when we think about it with our 21st century minds, the miracle becomes just a little bit murky. It's a nice story, but can we be profoundly changed? Can we be profoundly changed by the story? You know, because we no longer view the realm of God as a physical place located just above the clouds. And we see medical miracles, stopped hearts restarted every day. And yet we are called to believe. And we want to believe. And most of us do believe. And yet, we still struggle. We struggle to see how Christ's ascension applies to our lives. I mean, after all, we weren't there. I'm old, but I'm not that old. We were there. We didn't personally experience the miracle. So maybe what we need to do is open our hearts. Open our hearts to experience the miracles that are around us. That are around us today, right now. Miracles that we can see and hear and touch and taste and smell. Miracles that can just lift us out of our mundane, cynical lives. So, what miracles have you experienced? Okay, so now, those among you say, never saw one. But my friends, they happen all the time. It's just that we call them coincidences, or happenstance, or being at the right place at the right time. You know, I've got a friend who has extreme arthritis, extreme. And on bad days, getting out of the car is really hard. Just getting out of the car. On good days, she can walk for miles or at least blocks with no problems. She tells me that on good days, the best parking place at the grocery store is at the back of the lot. Always. But on bad days, there is always a place close to the door, even when it's crowded. Even when it's crowded. Coincidence? Maybe. Happenstance? Just one of those weird things? Maybe. Maybe. You know what? You probably have a lot of similar stories. Meeting that person at just the right time. Calling that employer just when, or probably today, doing something with your fingers, on that day when the job became available. Or just being where you needed to be for that miracle to occur. We have miracles in our lives today. We just don't recognize them. We just don't see them. And we too are lifted up. You know, excuse me, many of us believe that we are mistakes, that we were made wrong, that who we are is sinful, that who we are, not what we do, who we are is sinful. And then we recognize that we, every one of us, is made perfectly in the image of God. And that we, every single one of us, is loved. And then we see the world differently because we come to accept ourselves for who we are. And we're lifted up when we recognize that the pursuit of money and fame are not nearly as important as knowing others, helping others, loving others. We're lifted up when we recognize that we are called to witness, to tell other people that they too are loved. That they too are loved. And we are lifted up when we come together in community to celebrate and to experience the love of God and the love of each other. We're lifted up when we look back to those ancient miracles, the miracle of ascension. We're lifted up when we look back to the long line of people who have gone before us, each one of them a witness to miracles. And that line includes people that we have never met, but who have inspired us to do things that we never thought that we could do. That line includes those people who have touched us directly, who loved us for who we are, who changed our lives and helped us to become better people. So, who has touched you? Who has touched you? Is it that teacher who noticed you were singing to yourself in perfect pitch and encouraged you to pursue music? Is it that person who recognized that you were not being challenged in your job and helped you to find a better one? Is it that person who let you know that you have value? You have value even though society was telling you that you do not. Is it the author who inspired your imagination so that you just had to learn science? Is it that ancient author who told you that we are a chosen people? We are a chosen people, the holy priesthood. about who that inspiration is. And look at yourself. And look at that person. And then look at all the people around you. Be careful where you're looking at people, because sometimes they get a little weirded out, okay? But look at the people around you. Who can you inspire? Who can you inspire? Can you read at the local school? Can you hang out at the LGBT center? Can you talk to the young person who stops by your shop? Can you out yourself at the local watering hole? Out yourself as a whispering Christian, a lover of God. And let those around you know that they too are loved. Let them know. Let them know that they're loved. Because today we honor the miracles in our lives. Today we celebrate that Jesus was lifted up. Today we accept that we too, every single one of us, has been lifted to a better life, here and now, through following the teachings of the one who went before us and who continues to inspire us and to lead us. Amen?
Amen.